But it was like you gave me permission in a strange way to say, I'm opening the doors, now fly.
When you're weary, feeling small, when tears are in your eyes.
Hello, everybody! How y'all doing? Yeah, this is Ray Renati. Your girl Ray. Hope y'all doing well today. Boy, Happy New Year. I know we're a week into it already. Yeah, the 9th of January. Wow. 2019. We still got the orangutan at the helm, wanting his wall. It's like a reality TV show. Hey, what do you expect? That's what the guy did for, 15 years? He's got that down. He can tell a lie like nobody business. You know, that's what you do on reality TV. Reality TV is basically a bunch of smoke and mirrors. Well, that's what he's good at. What do you expect? Give the guy his props. He's doing what he's good at. He's exercising his talent, as it were. How was your New Year's Eve? Mine sucked. New Year's Eve, I think, is my least favorite holiday. I'm not sure why. I think it just seems like any other day to me, and we're supposed to be all, woo, it's New Year's Eve. Tomorrow I get my New Year's resolutions in, and then I get to break them after 3 months and feel all guilty and shit. Woo! I don't know what happened to me. Let's like my wife went out salsa dancing with her friend who's getting divorced, and I was supposed to go meet him, but I forgot to get in the car and it was too late. And then my kids don't give a flying fagook about New Year's Eve, so they're locked in their rooms playing their computer games, and I'm just sitting there watching TV, watching a bunch of second-rate has-been celebrities getting drunk. Crying in my soup. Yeah, well, that's okay. I recovered. What's new in the world of entertainment? You know, I saw this movie, The Wife, starring Glenn Close. Yeah, you know, that's a damn good movie. And she just won the Golden Globe Award, 2 days ago, I believe, for her portrayal of the wife of the guy who won the Pulitzer Prize for Literature. I don't want to give anything away, but her performance is like a master class for actors. If you're an actor, watch that movie and study Glenn Close, because she's amazing. I think she's one of the most underrated actors in our society that we've had, most underrated actors we've had for many years. It also starts Jonathan Pryce, the great Jonathan Pryce. Really good film. Really good. I'm so glad she won. I hope she gets the Oscar. I don't think she's ever won an Oscar. Who's going to host the Oscars? I don't know. I don't know. We had the comedian. What was the hell's his name? The guy who made some jokes about gay people 10 years ago, so they took it away from him. Yeah, we're living in that kind of society now. You know, I went and saw A Bronx Tale, which was originally a film in 1993, I believe, starring Robert De Niro. And then Chaz Palminteri, he wrote a one-man show that played on Broadway a couple times, I believe last time in 2010. And now there is the Broadway musical, which has been on Broadway for a while. Now it's on tour, and I went and saw it in San Francisco. And it's a damn good show. Really good. It's about family and racism and Italian families and hardworking people who have to try to pull themselves up by their own booty straps. But one thing that really struck me in this film play, musical, was this. And I'm not making a judgment about it. It's just an indication of where we're at as a society right now in terms of, Me Too and lack of equality and people being very sensitive about every word and phrase and the way you say things, the lilt in your voice. So part of the story of A Bronx Tale in the musical was the main character falls in love with an African American girl in another neighborhood in the Bronx, the black neighborhood. And I noticed right away that the Italians in the movie call the African Americans black people, which in the early 60s they would not have done. They would have called them either Negro or colored, but they called them black. And I think that was because they didn't want to offend anybody in 2018, even though they're doing a show taking place in the early 60s. But then the thing that really struck me was all throughout the play, the African American people are calling the Italians guineas, wops, dagos, every single epithet you could think of to call an Italian American, of which I happen to be one. I don't get offended by it. I used to when I was a kid. People used to call me a wop, but things have changed since then. Anyway, when it came time for one of the Italians to call one of the black people the N-word, what they did was, and in the movie, it's you fucking N-word. Now, I was going to say the word, but my kids encouraged me not to, so I won't say it. But what they said instead was, what the character said instead was, you fucking nig. And then he stopped there, and then the black African-American actor cut him off so that he couldn't say the whole N-word, just half the N-word. And the entire audience gasped because they thought that this white actor was going to say the N-word on a stage with an American musical in 2018. Yeah. Two people in front of me, 2 rows in front of me, they left at half an N-word. In the movie, they actually say the whole thing, but that's film. You can get away with that in film. And if it was a play, you could probably get away with it. But a musical, an American musical, there are like some unwritten rules, and that kind of breaks one somehow. I'm not sure, especially nowadays. I just noticed that. It was really, I just found it really interesting. One of the cool things, and the reason I went to the play is, as some of you might know, if you know me, I drive for Uber and Lyft. I kind of do it for the money, but when I do it, I love to talk to people and meet new people and just see how people behave and what interests them, and I'm endlessly curious about that. But anyway, I picked up a woman and her, God, I don't know, 9-year-old son, I'd say 9 years old, in San Francisco, and we got to talking, and they told me that he was in A Bronx Tale. One of the stars of the show is a kid, and it's the main character in Act 1 as a child. And there are 2 actors that alternate playing this part. They always have 2 children alternating on these Broadway tours like that when they have a big role. I think it has something to do with some union role. So because of that, I went to go see the play. I went to go see the musical. And I visited them at the stage door afterwards. And this kid was something else, man. This little tiny guy, he really danced up a storm. What a great dancer this kid is. And he can sing and act. 9 years old, blows my mind. But he's out of New Jersey, New York over there. So that's why I went to this show. That was interesting. Must-see TV. Must-see TV. Check out The Little Drummer Girl on AMC. It's a limited series. And it's a great TV show. It stars three of my favorite actors. One of them I didn't know though, but now she is one of my favorite actors. She's sort of a newcomer on the scene, as it were, and her name. What the heck is her name? I'm looking at IMDb here, and I chose the wrong one. I was trying to be all nonchalant. I had it up on my screen and then it disappeared. Her name is Florence something. Florence Pugh. Yes. Check her out. She's beautiful. But it's not just that. It's not just her physical beauty. She's a really good actor, and also she has that thing. She's got that charisma that you need to be a big star. And she's only been in a few notable films. She's won a bunch of awards already, though. Yeah, she's gonna be a big deal, and she's young. You know when people start young like that, and they're good enough to even skip school. When they start having starring roles at the age of 17 and 18, those are the ones that make it big. Yeah, Florence Pugh, check her out. Check her out. Oh God, I got interrupted there. I used to have my own studio, but then my son moved home, and I had to move into another room that's like packed with all kinds of paraphernalia near the front door and yada yada. So where was I? Oh yes, little drummer girl, Florence Pugh. Also, Alexander Skarsgård. You might know him from True Blood. He was a vampire, an evil vampire. And Michael Shannon. Love Michael Shannon. You might remember him from Boardwalk Empire. And before I forget, we have a special guest today, Neva Hutchinson. She's been on the show before. She's been on the Green Room Radio before. In fact, I just finished directing one of her plays a couple months ago. I talked about it on here too. Raptured. The Disappearance and Discovery of Aimee Semple McPherson. Today, Neva, we talk about a lot of things that have to do with theater and film and acting. Mostly we talk about teaching acting to adults. Really interesting stuff, as opposed to teaching to kids. How to start an acting class in an area of the Bay Area that's not flush with people who are dying to get into the craft, as it were. So I'm going to be talking to Neva about that coming up here in just a minute. That's right. What else has been going on? Yeah, I guess I've just been kind of overwhelmed with all this political stuff. I keep watching it on CNN, on YouTube, CNN clips, and I get kind of addicted to it. I want to see what the next fiasco is going to be. It's kind of like being addicted to a soap opera. When I was a kid, I used to watch All My Children and One Life to Live and General Hospital, and I was addicted to them because I wanted to know what the next crisis was going to be. That's what it's kind of like now in the U.S. What's Trump going to do today? It's become like the Truman Show, the United States of America. Just need Jim Carrey in there and some lights falling from the sky, and we'll be set. Anyway. Enough of that. That's the monologue for today. Bump. And now, I'd like to introduce you to Neva Hutchinson, unless you heard her in the last time we talked, the last interview we did. Then I'm not introducing you, I'm reintroducing you to Neva Hutchinson. She's a playwright, an actor, a teacher, and she's been doing this for many years. A real pro. And we had a great conversation. So enjoy this if you can. Of course you can. Hey, if you got this far, you're going to enjoy it. Believe you me. All right, everybody. Neva Hutchinson.
the main thing I learned from that, or took away from that experience, was our talk that we had on the phone about difficulty I was having in letting go and just going there and being there. Even though I'd written the part, I was scared of what the audience would think of the character. And you just said, you can't think of that, Neva. You have to let that go. You just have to
I know, I was
play
kind
the
of hard
part.
on you there for a while.
No, that's just exactly what I needed to hear.
Yeah, I give the big speech.
But it was like you gave me permission in a strange way to say, I'm opening the doors, now fly.
Yeah. Well, it must be
Which is
a
great.
challenge to do that when you wrote the role, you know? I mean, if you have sort of... I mean, I imagine when you're writing a play and then you're playing the role that you wrote for, you might even unconsciously have some preconceived notions about how it should be or what the restraints are or whatever.
I did.
And then a director comes in and other actors, and it doesn't quite fit that, you know, especially if you've been thinking about it for years. Mm-hmm. I think that's what I saw, so I had to just kind of come in there and, you know, knock some sense into you.
That sounds like something that
I'm
Benoit
kidding.
did in the play.
Yeah.
But
Well, I
for-
had to do that with everybody, really. Mm-hmm. You know, because it was very cinematic sort of play, you know.
Yes.
And so, because there were a lot of scenes, and they were all pretty short. So it's kind of like doing a musical in that, and I didn't have a lot of musical theater people, so
Right.
when you do a musical, the book part, if you want to keep it interesting, you have to kind of really push it and kind of do what might be considered overboard in a play that has really long scenes. But I think with this play, we really, you had to get to the point. I mean, to the apex of the scene would happen, like 30 seconds a minute into the scene, and then you'd have the rest of the scene, and you just couldn't be subtle about things too much.
Right.
Maybe
that's why you were such a good director, partly, is because of your musical background, musical theater.
Oh, it helps. It helps. Because
that
I
never
think-
occurred to me, but you're absolutely right.
Yeah. Maybe. I don't know. Could be, yeah. I don't know. I think if I'm a good director, and thank you for saying that, it's probably because of a couple of things. I took a lot of classes from Jean Shelton when she was younger, and you did too.
And
I know,
I
but
did
I took her scene analysis class. I don't know if you ever took
They
that.
were wonderful.
That helped me as a director a lot. I mean, I really took that to heart, and it was an acting class, but
Yes.
I think that any director who took that class learned, and if they really listened, learned a ton. And I think what she taught in that class is a lot of what's missing in a lot of theater. The specificity,
Yes.
the making things personal, making things extremely specific. That's what interests an audience.
I'll never forget, and that's one of
And it's the little things.
the scenes that we're going to do was her one time she did a lecture on the Biff and Happy scene from Death of a Salesman when they're in their room surrounded by their high school memorabilia and they pull out the mitt
Yeah.
and they talk about all these different items, and it was all about props.
Yeah.
And how you deal with props, but how you personalize them.
Yeah.
And make them have a history and make them have a meaning. And that
Yeah.
way it's translated to the audience. And that just opened my mind up to all sorts of ideas. And I've never forgotten that lecture.
Right. And that's why, in Raptured, when there was a scene with props, I really, really wanted you to deal with the props like they were real things that had some sort of importance to you.
Yes.
Because it can be incredibly interesting when an actor is dealing with a thing and it's causing them to have an emotion or an action that an audience can relate to. Because human beings do that all the time in real life. We're always triggered by the externals around us. Well, most of us are, unless you're like a yogi or a guru or something.
Well, for many years I used to smoke 2 packs a day.
You did?
And I always joked about how my characters always smoked on stage.
Yeah.
Because that was my go-to.
Oh, right.
If I didn't know what to do at the moment, I would light a cigarette and then I'd continue on with the scene. And so I kind of did myself a disservice in terms of reaching out, which I'm starting to learn.
Well, then it's
now.
more of a crutch than a prop.
Yeah, it was. It was a crutch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Although in a lot of those old movies, you see them smoking cigarettes all the time.
Yeah, furiously. Along with their martinis.
Yeah. Yeah, well, sister, let me, wait, can I give you a light? Sure. How about another drink? Waiter! How many
Right.
movies they say that?
Yes. How
So-
many has he had? That's how many I want. That's what Myrna Loy says in Thin Men when she sees all the empty martini
I love that
glasses.
movie. Yeah. So you're teaching,
Yes.
speaking of,
For 14
acting,
years, I taught
teaching.
middle schoolers Shakespeare.
Yeah.
And staged a play, directed a play every year, a Shakespeare play with middle schoolers. Well, then I had a dream, and I woke up one day and I thought, you should teach adults. So that's kind of what started it. I have 10 people in my class, 5 of whom I know from other acting experiences. The other 5 I don't know.
great.
They've just expressed an interest. They've always wanted to, but never dared to. So I'm going to start with, I'm going to have each class is for 2 hours. It's going to involve improvisation, a lecture by me, and then working on a scene. And at the end of 6 weeks, we're going to put up the scenes.
And it's 2 hours a week?
Just 2 hours a week.
And where are you teaching them?
We're doing it at a studio at St. Peter's Episcopal Church in Redwood City on Broadway. And I have come up with the plays or the scenes already, even for the people that I haven't met yet. I kind of have a feeling of an idea of a couple of scenes that may work and they could pick the best. And we're going to start with Pfeiffer's People, with monologues by Pfeiffer's People. I don't know if you're familiar with those or not.
No.
They're comic short bits that are like 10 lines long.
Oh, okay.
They're very funny, and they have a joke in every one of them.
It's sort of like there's another allegorical sort of, what's the one where they have all these short stories that can be done as plays?
Spoon River Anthology.
Yes, Spoon River Anthology.
Yes,
yeah.
but this is very light. Elaine May helped do it with Jules Pfeiffer, and it ran
wow.
on Broadway for a while.
Oh, wonderful.
and- yeah.
Elaine May. Love her.
I know, she's wonderful. She's talking about wacky,
Yeah.
sort of
Yeah, definitely.
off-centered
Yeah.
people.
So do you still have room in the class?
Yes, we
So
do.
if people are interested, they could
Right.
contact you? Mm-hmm. Okay.
And I have
At your website?
I have a website, yes.
Which is?
www.nevahutchinson.com.
Okay. All right, I'll put that in the notes so people,
Oh, thank
if they
you.
want to take an acting class with a great teacher,
Oh, thank you.
you can take one. And there are not a lot of acting classes available here on the
No.
peninsula
No.
or on the South Bay.
And for adults also.
Especially for adults, right?
Right,
There are almost none.
right.
Yeah. How did you find? So if some of these were people you knew, how did you find the other people to
I
join the
put
class?
out an ad on Nextdoor.
Oh yeah,
You know Nextdoor?
Yeah,
and I
yeah.
got 3 people from that.
Oh, wonderful.
And then I got one other person, he had another friend that he signed up. He bought a thing as a present. Mm-hmm. It's $150 for 6 weeks or 12 hours of instruction.
Yeah.
And I have more men than I have women in the
Oh,
class.
interesting.
Yes.
Wow, that's rare.
It's very
Usually
rare.
the opposite.
I know.
Huh. Well, that's good to hear.
So, of course, we're going to do Glengarry Glen Ross, The Odd Couple, Of Mice and Men, all those on Golden Pond because I do have some older people in it.
Yeah. So they're going to come in. They're gonna get a scene partner. Mm-hmm. They're gonna go back and work on. You're gonna assign them. Then they're gonna go home and rehearse some with their scene partner. Is that right?
No,
or are you
I
gonna
think
do all of it in class?
Will be in class.
Oh, good.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And every week we have a different topic. Like 1 week it's how to work with props.
Yeah.
1 week it's how to do script analysis, going through and circling all the things in the script that are the joke and that are the questions and looking at the punctuation. It's a combination of all the training I've had over the years with different teachers, including Gene Shelton, which we talked about, and Wynn Handman at the American Place Theater in New York. I studied with him. And Richard Seyd.
Yeah.
So it's kind of my technique based on all of that and based on what works for me in performing.
Yeah. Yeah, that's great. I think it's my opinion. It's always better to have a technique that becomes your own, that draws from various disciplines, rather than just saying I do Meisner technique or I do this technique. Because what happens is that when you get in the real world, if you're only able to learn a play by doing the Meisner technique, well, there might not be anybody else in your cast who even knows who Meisner is. Well, everyone's going to know who Meisner is, but doesn't know the Meisner technique, and then it just becomes impossible.
Exactly.
Right? Yeah. So,
and I think that was a good thing about your directing. Was right off the top you said, You kind of said, I don't care about your technique.
Yeah. What did I say? I said certain things like I don't do warm-ups usually because I want people, if you want to do one, you can do your own because it works for you. And I believe that. And now I'm not saying I don't ever do that, but usually I don't. And partly I just want to get down to business.
Right.
Just my personality. And often, yeah. And as far as, I always feel like if I have a cast of actors, there's no way I can teach anybody anything of great significance in 4 weeks, while they're also learning to the play, right? So, they're going to have to rely on their own technique, their own motivations, their own methods, and I can't be responsible for that as a director. So when an actor tries to make me responsible for it, I push back pretty hard because I kind of made that decision a long time ago.
Right. Well, I think it works.
Yeah, because it's just real. You cannot teach anybody anything new and have it sink into their bones in that short of a period of time while they're also trying to learn a role.
Right. Right.
So people need to find whatever works for them, and that's just how I've always done it.
The other thing I liked about it, your directing, was that you spoke from the viewpoint of this is how it reads to me. Yeah. This is what's not clear to me.
Yes, that's what I always do.
Which was very helpful as an actor.
Well, that's for you, but some actors don't like it, but that's okay. I understand because they want to understand, well, I can't justify that. I can't. But see, that's the way I look at it as a director. That's your job as an actor. I mean, I am sitting out here as a super hypercritical audience member, right? Yes. And no matter how hard a time you have of not being able to justify something, if it works, it works. You got to figure out how to make it work for yourself, or just do it. A lot of American actors, I find, have a hard time just doing something because it works. They have to have a reason. And I think that's because the method is so ingrained, method acting is so ingrained in our psyches, whether we know it or not. But my time in England, and then taking classes from somebody else, what's his name? He used to be Jeffrey Beer.
Oh, right.
Yeah. I realized that that's all just an American thing. You know, in other places, it's just do it
Right.
and then figure it out later, you know?
Right.
Because the audience has no way of knowing. There's no way of knowing. They have no way of knowing what's going on inside for you personally. All they see
Exactly.
is what's happening on the outside. I mean, if you can't cry on stage, but you're really good at fake crying, they're going to think you're really crying. Mm-hmm. They're not going to know whether you're really crying.
Right. Right. Exactly.
And a lot of people would disagree with me, but it's true. I mean,
I do agree with you on that.
yeah.
Also, it was a big, another illumination for me was when I was with Gene Shelton, was I suddenly realized one day it wasn't a question of whether I was talented or not, personally. It was a question of whether her technique worked for me or not.
Yeah.
And once I was able to flip that around, I was suddenly free to learn the technique and see if her technique worked.
Yeah, and when you're in the class, you do her technique, but then when you get in the real world, you use whatever parts of it works for you. That's how I look at it. Because I've taken classes, me too, I've taken classes from so many people, and after a while you realize you have to have your own technique.
Right. You do.
Yeah. So.
And that's kind of what I hope to teach these students that are coming.
Now, a lot of these people, are they curious about acting? Or I know sometimes people want to take acting classes because they think it's going to help them with business, public speaking, self-confidence. Do you know?
Right.
Do you know some of the motivations that people have?
I do know some of them.
Uh-huh.
The people that I know already, I've worked with in an acting situation, directing them in plays or directing them in readings.
Oh yeah.
The other people I don't know, but they have confided in me. Well, I'm trying to step out of my box, or I want to learn how to be more comfortable in front of a group of people speaking. And so I'm going to try and address some of those issues also, as far as standing up and talking on a subject.
Yeah.
That's one of their homework assignments.
Oh, good.
Is
Like Toastmasters.
Right, like Toastmasters. Exactly. We will have that aspect to it.
Oh, good.
I'm going to try and reach them where they're at. And
Oh, you could do
work
that
from
with the
there.
improv.
Yes.
Isn't part of Toastmasters like improvisational speaking on some random subject?
Is it really?
I think they do have I know they have a division like that. I have a friend in Ireland who was competing with that.
Oh my.
Yeah, you just improvisational speech.
Off the top of your head.
Yeah, they just give you some subject and you just got like 5 minutes, go.
Oh, I'm going to try that.
Yeah, you should check it out. It's probably on the
I will.
Toastmasters.
I will
Yeah.
try that.
Yeah.
Well, I have a list of improvisational things that I used to do with the kids, and some of them are adaptable for adults. And I've been going through coming up with the syllabus and what each topic will be on each class, and
That's great.
it's very exciting.
Yeah. Are you excited about teaching adults having taught children for so long? Are you looking
I
forward to it?
am in the sense of the one thing I really enjoyed with the kids was watching the light bulb go off, which
Yeah.
happens with adults also.
Yeah.
When you see that happen, that's why you do it.
Yeah.
The thing with the kids that got to me was the parents.
Right.
Having to deal with, why did my child get a bigger part than this? Why haven't you done this?
Oh my gosh.
You have to tell so-and-so to speak up more.
Yeah.
Things like that.
They treat it like soccer practice.
Yes, that's exactly right. And it got to be too much for me, and I just decided I was done one day. And I was, after 14 years. So.
Yeah. No, that's amazing that you could do it. I could never teach kids, probably partly because of that. Well, not that I never could, but it would be hard for me to do it on an ongoing basis because I don't have enough patience.
It does require a lot of patience.
Yeah. Yeah.
But at the same time, I've seen amazing things come out of the kids that I never would have expected. Yeah. And when I left, the day that I left, they had a presentation for me. The kids had a presentation for me. They did a few scenes from Hamlet.
Oh, wonderful.
That they had rehearsed out on the blacktop that nobody knew about, that
Oh,
the
wow.
parents knew about. So they helped provide costume pieces. And they came in and said, Mrs. Hutchinson, we have this show we want to put on for you.
Wow.
I wept.
I
It was so
bet.
beautiful.
How moving.
Yes, and to see Hamlet with Ophelia, and they're both like in 8th grade, was just amazing.
Yeah. Well, that's wonderful. They must have been very appreciative of everything you'd done for them. And
Yeah.
wow. Do you have any students from the past that have continued acting that you know of?
Quite a few, but
Yeah.
I don't know. Not enough time has passed for them to have moved on to Broadway
Oh,
or
yeah.
someplace like
Well,
that.
some of them will for
But
sure.
quite a few have. There was someone at CVS who was ringing up my order,
Yeah.
and I didn't recognize him. And he said, Mrs. Hutchinson, I have to tell you that I directed a scene from Macbeth in my English class. He said, I never would have done it if I hadn't studied Shakespeare with you.
Oh, that's great.
I know.
See, that's what makes it worth it when you teach kids, huh?
Yeah, and
Yeah,
here he is
we-
with the CVS vest on and his name.
Incredible.
I know.
Yeah. Yeah. Kids grow up so fast, and for you, it's like yesterday, and for them, it's half their life.
Right.
You know.
Right, very
Yeah.
much so.
Yeah.
I should tell you the names of the people who've signed up for the class.
Oh. Okay.
Clyde Pinto.
Okay.
I directed his daughter in a few things.
Yeah.
And he confided in me one day he'd always wanted to be an actor.
Oh. Okay.
So he's one of the reasons why I started the class. Then there's an actor. He's known as the Other Chapo.
That's his name.
That's
The
his-
Other Chapo.
That's what he goes by.
Okay.
His last name is Chapo.
I love it.
I know, isn't that funny? That's his.
The Other Chapo.
Right. Barbara Griever, Sue Bucock, Paul Burning, John McGill, Susan Mitchell, Alec Braun, Jamie Slover.
Oh. Okay.
And there's one person who's on the fence, and that's the 10th person.
Ah. Well, maybe the Other Chapo can convince that person.
Yes. I've
Say,
never.
I am the Other Chapo. You want to be in the class because I am well known.
Because you're right, because I'm well known.
Yes.
So we mentioned Hamlet.
Yeah.
I would love to do a production of Hamlet.
Right. Yeah. So when would you like to do this?
I would love to do it next fall,
Yeah.
around Halloweenish,
Oh, okay.
because you have all the spirits and the ghosts
Yeah.
in the beginning, and Hamlet's ghost,
Right.
Hamlet's father.
Yeah. A lot of ghosts in Hamlet.
Yeah, a lot of ghosts in Hamlet, which makes it good for Halloween, I think.
Yeah, I agree. That's a really good idea. That could be part of the marketing plan.
That would be good to be part of the marketing plan.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's some people think it's Shakespeare's greatest play.
Really? I
you
didn't know
think?
that.
Well, they say Lear or Hamlet or
I've seen Lear more times than I can count.
yeah.
I always thought Macbeth was his greatest.
Oh, do you? Well, it depends on your yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
Macbeth is one of them.
Right.
Is it okay to say Macbeth in here?
Yes.
Oh, okay, because
It's
we're
only
not
in a
backstage.
theater.
Yeah, right,
It's
right.
only in a theater. You're
yeah,
not supposed to
because
say.
it's bad luck in a theater.
That's right.
If you say Macbeth, you have to run around the building 3 times and stuff like that.
Right.
Yeah.
Recite something from A Midsummer Night's Dream.
Oh,
It
yeah.
has to be let in.
Yeah, yeah, and then the curse is released and the performance will be okay.
It would be superlative after all that.
Yeah,
I would
I know,
hope
right,
it would
yeah.
be superlative.
Yeah.
But you and I talked about this a little bit, the idea of doing it in a college theater so you could attract college students to come see it.
Yeah, and if you could maybe approach the English departments and the drama departments months in advance, although if it's in the fall, school would have just started, but
It's
somehow promote it that way.
right. It's been
Yeah.
my experience that lots of times teachers do check their emails over this summer,
Oh, okay. Yeah.
and that's a way to reach them.
Yeah, right. And then that would help them, fill up some of their time if the students are required to go.
Exactly.
And that's what you want to do is force people to go to theater.
Well, you just reminded me of something. Another thing we could offer would be a study guide to go with it.
Oh, I love that when theaters do that. Yeah, like
Yes.
you put a PDF on the website,
Right.
and it's really nicely formatted, like a little book that you could print out.
Exactly.
Talks about the play and the production and
characters,
Shakespeare and character
analysis.
Yeah.
That's
Those
a
are great.
good idea. That's a good idea. So
Yeah,
even
yeah.
if you had to move it from October 31st to
see
well,
it at
Hamlet
work
would be hard to do it. Well, would it be hard to do around Thanksgiving? See, I just don't think theater unless you're doing Dickens around in the month of December.
After Thanksgiving, I guess you have to do Christmas plays.
Right. It's an unspoken rule in America.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's the problem. Yeah. But I think September, October, all of November up to Thanksgiving is fine.
Okay.
My opinion.
Yes.
In my experience in having produced a bunch of shows, it's just that once you get past Thanksgiving, then you run into trouble
Right.
until the first of the year.
With actors' availability and
Yeah.
people going to the theater.
Yeah, people
you
going to see
simply can't
Dickens and
go.
Christmas plays. Yeah,
Right.
or not being able to go at all
Right, or not
Yeah.
being able to go at all.
because they're so busy.
But you suggested having a young Hamlet. A younger Hamlet.
Well, I mean, that's my opinion. I always sort of see him as being kind of naive in a way. But I don't know. He would have to be young. I think he would just have to be immature in some ways. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I mean, I always think of Hamlet as being kind of. He's very insightful, but it's almost like he's so intellectually advanced that it gets in the way of him seeing the larger truth. But I don't know.
Oh, like someone who goes to a gifted and talented school.
Yeah, I don't know.
I
That's
don't
sort of
know if
how I
that's-
see Hamlet. Yeah.
But you were interested in playing the part of the king.
Yeah. Sure, absolutely. Yeah, I would love to. God, I went to school at RADA to learn Shakespeare, and I'd done Shakespeare here quite a bit before I went, and then after I got back, I haven't been in a Shakespeare play since, and that was
Oh,
like
my goodness.
8 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah, I think it's because I joined Equity, and there just aren't a lot of roles. But yeah.
Well, we had talked about opening the play, which could or couldn't, doesn't need to happen, but opening the play with actors coming in to a cart and opening the cart up and putting their makeup on and putting their costume pieces on and having a core group of like 6 or 7 actors that do the whole play.
Yeah, I did Midsummer Night's Dream like that once.
I saw you do it at the Pear.
Yeah.
It was wonderful.
Yeah, we did it like that.
It was wonderful.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed your performance.
Oh, thank you. What I did, I played 2 people. I was Demetrius and what was his name? One of the mechanicals.
One
I
of the
can't remember.
tinkers or the...
Yeah, the one who plays. What's the play within the play? What's it called? I forget.
It's based on an Ovid short story. I know that.
Yeah, I just can't remember the damn name of the play.
Right.
I play
The
Thisbe.
Pyramus and Thisbe.
Pyramus and Thisbe. I played Thisbe, which was kind of weird because Thisbe is usually a slight young man who's sort of feminine, and I'm like 200 pounds with 46-inch shoulders, and I had to act like a little girl. And this guy who's a stand-up comedian, he passed away, unfortunately, a couple years ago, Jimmy Gunn, who's one of the most hilarious people I've ever known in my life, was Pyramus. That must have been funny to watch.
Yes, it was. It was very funny to watch.
Because I had to play Thisbe coming upon Pyramus, who died, and I had to do this very heartfelt sort of monologue about the death of my love Pyramus, and Jimmy Gunn was short and built like a fire plug, and it was and I had a female wig on and everything. It must have been. I've seen video of it. It was funny.
It was very
And he's funny. Oh my God, just his expressions and stuff were so hilarious. I didn't realize how funny he was until I saw the video. I was like, oh my, this is incredible.
And once again, it was beautifully staged. It was very simply staged in the middle. It was in the round.
Yeah, it was in the round. And
but you had gorgeous costumes.
We had gorgeous costumes that we changed on stage.
Right.
Yeah.
Maybe that's where I got this idea.
Oh, maybe.
Who played Bottom? Do you remember?
Jimmy Gunn, yeah.
He was
played
wonderful.
Bottom, yeah.
He was fabulous.
Oh, yeah.
I loved him.
Yeah, he was he was a very, very talented man. But unfortunately, he had kidney problems his whole life.
Oh.
Yeah.
I'm
And
sorry
he
to hear
died a couple of years ago. Yeah. At a young age. But he will always be remembered. A lot of people in the comedy world know him. If you're listening, any comics out there, you'll know who Jimmy Gunn was in the Bay Area.
Right.
Yeah. So, what else? Anything?
Well, I've been auditioning a little bit.
Oh yeah, what for?
I auditioned for a play called Territories by the Arabian Shakespeare Festival, or company is going to be
Yes.
doing it.
Arabian Shakespeare Festival. That's the name of their theater
Is
company.
that their theater
Yeah.
company?
Yeah.
Okay, good. This play Territories was done at the Magic in 2008, so 10 years ago. It was done at the Magic. But it takes place in 1176. It's a story of three people who are, one is a crusader, one of them is a Muslim, and two of them are Muslim. And it has to do with wanting to get to Mecca and having their caravan kidnapped.
Wow.
It's a fascinating story.
exciting.
It's by Betty Shamila.
Yeah. Very timely.
Very timely.
Yes, with all the issues that are happening with the Muslim world versus the Western world right now.
I know. And what I found exciting about the audition and about the part, Aaliyah, was not her quietude, although she certainly had that, but her bravery in speaking up, in calling people out on the carpet when they needed, in this very Muslim world of being a strong character, a strong female character.
Yeah. Which, now, where is she during this?
She's in Damascus.
Is it true?
It's based on a real war that was fought.
Yeah.
But it has the author has their own interpretation.
Yeah.
And the first line that she has is something along the lines of, "My name will never be in the history books."
Okay, good. I'm glad she put that because
Yes.
I know there are some modern Muslims who don't adhere to it, but most of the Muslim religion, especially at that time, would never have let a woman be that prominent, as far as I know from what I've read.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
So I did some background reading before I auditioned.
Oh, that's good.
Crusaders Through Arab Eyes, and it was fascinating. First of all, I didn't realize how busy the Crusaders were.
Oh, yeah.
And how
Raping
busy
and
the
pillaging.
Muslims were.
Yeah.
How busy both of them were.
Well, the Muslims had their own crusades, too,
Yes.
right? Yeah.
Everybody they just lived to fight.
Yep.
That's what they lived for, was fighting, it
Well,
seemed
Muhammad was a huge warrior.
Right.
Prince, right? Wasn't he?
Yes, he was a big...
Which is odd because Christ was sort of like a pacifist hippie, but somehow the Christian church ended up being really violent. So I find that odd.
It is. They would rape and pillage. And...
Yeah, everyone raped and pillaged.
Right.
Yeah.
And in the play, it refers to the fact that they're doing it for water rights,
Oh, okay.
which made a whole lot of sense when I was reading this background book, that
Yeah.
a lot of it was over water rights.
Yeah,
Getting
not a lot
water
of
in the
water
desert.
there.
Right.
Yeah.
And who had the oasis and who didn't.
Yeah.
And
It wasn't easy to dig wells back then deep enough.
no.
Yeah. Interesting. Very interesting. Well, it's been great talking to you.
It's been great talking with you too, Ray. I've really enjoyed it.
Well, that was my talk with Neva. That was a lot of fun. Always is. a lot of fun to talk with Neva. Hopefully we'll get to do it again soon, and I hope that your year is going well. I think I'll close this out with a little bit of John Prine for y'all. Why? Why, you ask? Because I can. Good night, everybody. Until next time. What? I will see you on the boards. That's right. Good night.
I am an old woman named after my mother. My old man's another child that's grown old. If dreams were lightning, thunder was desire, this old house would have burned down a long time ago. Make me an angel that flies from Montgomery. Make me a poster of an old rodeo. Just give me one thing that I can hold on to believe in this living is just a hard way to go. When I was a young girl, well, I had me a cowboy. Weren't much to look at, just a free rambling man. But that was a long time. No matter how hard I tried, the years they just flow by like a broken down dam. Make me an angel that flies from Montgomery. Make me a poster of an old rodeo. Just give me one thing that I can hold on to believe in this living is just a hard way to go. There's flies in the kitchen, I can't hear them buzzing, and I ain't done nothing since I woke up today. How the hell can a person go to work in the morning, come home in the evening, and have nothing to say? Make me an angel that flies from Montgomery. Make me a poster of an old rodeo. Just give me one thing that I can hold on to believe in this living is just a hard way to go. To believe in this living is just a hard way.